Welcome into the first Hail Varsity Postgame Show of the 2025 season. I'm Ravi, Lulla. That's Rico, our guy Enrique, Alvarez-Clary. I'm going to be honest, Rico, until about 30 seconds ago, I was pretty certain I was going to throw up.
I don't like that. I don't like this at all. It hurt my feelings, and I need Nebraska to stop it with the one-score games. It was way too close for way too long. And yeah, just like you said, about 30 seconds ago, I was ready to run down here and say a whole bunch of out-of-pocket things. And I still might.
You still, I don't think we should. I mean, listen, is that how we wanted it to go?
Absolutely not.
Probably not, right? There is a part of me that thinks sometimes you have to exercise some demons.
Exercise the demons.
You know what I mean? Like there's a part of me that thinks, hey, that's not like, I think, look at the stats here, right? Like Nebraska kind of dominated this game. This should not have been a 3-point game, right? I mean,
absolutely not.
You look at total yards, Nebraska 80 more yards than Cincinnati. You look at third down conversions, which was crazy for Nebraska. I mean, 40-20 in terms of time of possession. 10 of 18 on third down for Nebraska, 3 of 10 for third down for Cincinnati. I mean, like there were just number of plays ran. I mean, I think at one point Nebraska had more plays in Cincinnati territory than Cincinnati had plays, right?
I'm pretty sure when they put that graphic up, it was like 35 plays in Cincinnati territory, 75 plays total.
Yes. And so I'm sitting here and I go, okay, do I love how it looked? No. Do I think Nebraska played better than a 3-point win? Yes. Here's the thing, though. I do think sometimes you have to exercise the demons, right? And I'd rather do that in game one than I would wait until Michigan or Minnesota or whenever down the road to figure out if that is or is not something that we have to figure out that Nebraska can overcome this, right? Like I'm sitting here and I'm going through like losing my mind on my Twitter feed, right? Because and people in my text messages, God, I love my friends, but sometimes like it's so many of like, oh God, no, not again. And I've seen this movie before. And like, I know how this ends and all of that. Like, I feel that. That's why I felt nauseous. Like I'm literally sick to my stomach. I was able to get down like half of a wrap for dinner. That's all I could eat today because I'm sick to my stomach as I'm watching this play out. It's 6-3, and I go, Nebraska probably needs to be up by more than this. And then it's 13-10, and I'm like, oh my God. They finally get it out to 20-10, and then immediately Cincinnati gets the touchdown. I'm sitting there, I'm like,
next
oh my
drive.
God.
In what? 5 plays?
Incredible, and just gashed them, right? The worst drive or the worst series of the game for the Nebraska defense was when Nebraska finally got a 2-score lead, and Cincinnati immediately answered. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, okay, I'm starting to get a little nauseous here, starting to get a little sick to my stomach. And then the Malcolm Hartzog pass interference happens. And I'm thinking, oh God, no. Why is this happening? Oh God, no. Why? Like I'm Michael Scott when he finds out Toby's back in the office. God, no, why?
I'm pretty sure we probably said the same things because I'm upstairs, right? I'm up there, Rachel's sitting on the couch, and we're watching, and you see the throw, you see Hartzog face guarding his guy, and he goes like this, and we're sitting there, and they go, oh, there's a flag on the play, and we both look at each other, we go, yep. There's no way that he actually thought that he did not hold or interfere with him on that pass.
And he's in there, and you see that happen, and all of a sudden they're in field goal range, and I'm like, oh my God, no, this can't happen again. This cannot happen again.
Because if it goes to OT, you have no confidence that they're going to stop. Like they start on the 25, right? 25, 30, something like that. They start on there.
They start on the 25.
I feel like one play, Brendan Sorsby runs it in. That's what I would feel like in OT.
And so I'm like, oh God, I don't want to go to OT. And at some point, that's a demon they have to exercise at some point as well. And I get that, and that's totally fine. And we'll fight that battle another day. But to have that play, right? To have them sit there and make the play, because that's what we've been talking about. That's what Coach Rule's been talking about. That's what we've been talking about all offseason, is you just have to go make the play at some point, right? It's not about bad luck. It's not about bad calls. It's not about bad bounces. At some point, you've got to be the team that makes the play. And Malcolm Hartzog did that. That is
both
the
ways.
thing that yes, right? Like the redemption arc that's the fastest redemption arc in history, right? Just immediate, like, hey, oh no, we've got the gut punch penalty that gets you into field goal range, and then immediate redemption. That right there. And listen, I don't know what this looks like for the rest of the season. I really don't, right? I'm not going to be like, oh, they're not going to win 10 games now. Oh, they're definitely going to win 10 games now. Like, my prediction was what it was, right? But the fact that the same guy that made the mistake made the game-saving play gives me confidence that this team, that's that no fear of failure mentality. It's not that you're not going to fail, right? It's
you're going to fail.
The next play.
What do you do the next that's play? The thing. Exactly. And what that instills in me is that this coaching staff is kind of on that track as well, where yes, you can make a mistake, but you're out there for a reason. They trust you. They've given you a black shirt. They've given you a single digit. Like, you are out there because they believe in you, that you can make these plays, that you can get the stops or get the catches, the throws, the blocks, whatever position you are. This coaching staff has put you out there for a reason. So although he makes the boneheaded mistake on the hold, they didn't call the pass interference, the hold on that pass play previous, he's still out there, and he's the one that gets the game-sealing interception. And like many of the people on our chat right now have pointed out, last year, that's, that ends up with a made field with a made field goal and an overtime, and Nebraska loses, or
best.
Yeah, or that bounces off a Hartzog's chest and the guy catches it in the end zone, and that's game over. But this
100%.
Team, although it didn't look pretty at all, like you said, there's a point where you need to exercise the demons. You need to go in there and you need to win a one-score game, and that's exactly what they just did.
And there's a lot of things that we can get into, and DB and I will get into tomorrow morning. I assume DB is still alive after that game, and he's gonna get in town at about 3:00 this morning, and he's not gonna sleep at all. But we'll be there. I might need you to be on standby just in case. You might have to tune in from the house.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll have to stream in. I apologize.
No, that's totally fine. I'm confident DB will be there, but you never know. But there's a certain point we'll get into, like, why certain things look the way they did, and I think there's some good reasons for it. You do have to give Cincinnati credit. I think they're better defensively than we probably gave them credit for. Offensively, they were about what I thought they were.
I don't agree with you defensively that Cincinnati was better than we thought they were.
So
I think they just that too high shell that they were running, or whatever, they had the safeties high that they were just taking away. I think Nebraska was doing the right things and taking what they were given, and took a couple of shots downfield, didn't nearly take as many as I think they should have. But I don't think that Cincinnati was better than we were giving them credit for. I think Nebraska at certain points, and I think Dana Holgerson was getting a little too cute with some of his play calling.
So I don't know if I agree with that. I think there's a point where I thought he was actually too vanilla, if I'm being honest. I thought that the taking what they were giving him and not trying to force any splash plays were that was getting frustrating. But I think the reason I said that I think Cincinnati's defense was a little better than we gave them credit for is a couple things. Like, Dante Corleone was a problem.
Yes, he was a problem. And we knew he was going to be a problem. And the linebacker that we were told about in the show,
I think.
Yeah, Golday. Earlier this morning during the show, he was also a problem. He was everywhere.
He was. And here's the thing, but because Corleone was so good, it allowed them to do a lot of other things. I thought Nebraska's interior defensive line would hold up a little bit better, but that's legitimately an NFL defensive tackle, and that's probably one of the better defensive tackles they'll face all year. I feel comfortable saying that. Maybe not the best, but he's certainly in the top couple. And that's not an excuse. I thought they should have done better on the interior offensive line still. But because they were able to be so disruptive with him in the run game, that it really allowed them to play that too high shell, right? Because typically, if they're going to run the too high shell, you gear up, you run against them, right? That's sort of the antidote if you're going to play the safety super high. But because of Corleone and his ability to collapse the middle of that line, made it really difficult to run in the middle of the defense like you'd like to, right? So that's why I say we maybe didn't give them enough credit defensively, because their particular scheme and what they were able to do with Corleone's specific skill set and his specific kind of special abilities really made it difficult for Nebraska to counter the two high safeties with anything but the kind of real short passing game that we saw a ton of, right? So that to me that's what I meant by I think they were a little better. Like they played really well to their own strengths. I will give them a lot of credit there.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think that Corleone being able, when you have a defensive tackle that is able to take up 2-3 blocks at a time, that's really going to cause some issues for whatever team you're facing. So
and
regardless
it lets your
of that,
linebackers like Golday kind of eat, right? Like
exactly.
None of your interior linemen can get to the second level. It makes it really challenging.
Exactly. So having him there really, that kind of opened things up for Cincinnati's defense. But I just think that Nebraska, and there was a texter here that said, or a person in the comments that said, you're not going to see the whole offense until the Michigan game. And while I kind of don't completely disagree with that, I think that there was more that Nebraska could have shown and should have shown. As you said, it was a little vanilla, but those jet passes to Mosey or to Ja'Cory Barney, I think in the situations that they were running them in, unnecessary. I know that you're trying to get your playmakers out in space, and usually I would be completely down with that. But in those situations, when you have Emmett Johnson ripping off, 4 or 5 yards a carry, I think you hand it off to him. But also in that same aspect, maybe sub in some more running backs because the man was getting beat up.
Yeah, I do wonder, we saw Mosey a couple times early. We saw, I think, just one carry from Mekhi Nelson. I don't know if they just weren't trusting him on some of the other things. I don't know what it was, but there wasn't a lot in terms of running back rotation. I do think getting the ball to Lindemeyer a little bit more late was really smart. That was something that I think they needed to do. I will say one thing I'm concerned by and one thing I'm super encouraged by was I was concerned a little bit. The defense has a little bit ways to go in terms of, I think, integrity of keeping their run lanes against a mobile quarterback, right? Like, or of their rush lanes against a mobile quarterback. Like that was obviously Sorsby is talented, and we knew that, and we knew he was a running threat coming in. There's going to be more of those, right? So that was something that I am concerned about. I will say, Husker guy Scott brings something up that I don't think that was all in the defensive line. I do think the run fits were not great by some of the secondary. I'm not going to harp on Singleton. People already know how I feel about some of Deshaun Singleton and his ability to fit in the run game. I didn't think
he had like 8
very
tackles in the first quarter.
He had a bunch of tackles. He also got beat.
I know. There was one in the first quarter where it was pretty. As soon as I saw it, he missed a tackle like right in the middle, and I was like, "Yeah, Ravi's not going to like that."
Yeah, like so there's some stuff there. I do think the defensive line needs to play better, but my big thing, you got to get guys in there like the Vincent Shavers, where we saw him come in, make that huge tackle, force the fumble. That's where Nebraska got the touchdown at the end of the half. You need guys that are playing without hesitation, right? Yep. I just think Singleton plays with too much hesitation. I don't know if he doesn't see it right or if he second guesses himself. I need guys in there that are playing without hesitation, especially as the defensive line kind of comes together. I like this defensive line. I do. I don't think it was their best game. They didn't have any sacks, which is a bad look for sure. Part of that Sorsby being mobile against other guys they get him a couple times, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
But they need to come together, right? They need to come together and get their stuff together a little bit. In the meantime, the more experienced people in that defense, like the secondary and some of the linebackers, need to help them out a little bit. And there were times I really didn't feel like they did. I will say Donovan Jones, I thought played really well.
Donovan Jones played amazing.
When Donovan Jones got in the game, he played really well. He made some plays both in run fits and in pass coverage. I was really pleased with him. And as Scott says once again, Williams-Nwaneri was beating some guys. Williams-Nwaneri was getting in the backfield. And
Yes.
I think as he kind of matures and as he gets a little bit more game experience, that's going to be a dude, I think.
So I know that there's no sacks on the stat sheet, but there was that one where I think it was the second quarter where Sorsby was kind of rushed on the edges and went to step up in the pocket and got hit by about 2 defensive linemen and was pushed by the defensive line to like right at the line of scrimmage or to gain a yard.
Yeah.
Like that was a sack. Like it was a sack, but the offensive line pushed him forward, so it's not a sack. So like I kind of get it, but even then, 1 sack for this defensive line is not great. There was a lot of pressure, but like you said, I don't think the secondary or the linebackers were helping much when they did drop back to pass. Granted, they were gashing Nebraska every single run play, it seemed like, so they didn't have to pass as much. Sorsby didn't even throw over 100 yards. I think at halftime he had like 30-some passing yards. So when you can run that well, you don't have to pass. You're not going to get a lot of sacks as a defense for Nebraska. So you can factor that in as well. But I do agree this defensive line is explosive, but probably not as great in game one as we probably thought they were going to be. But it's going to take a while for them to mesh together. It's only game one. You got 2 more games to get right before you face some real competition. And we'll see what they have going for them.
Yeah, I mean, I do think they're going to have to figure out what the right mix of kind of creativity and stunts and things like that are in order to be good. You know, when we did the Pitt film review earlier in the week on the morning show, like Pitt does a lot of different things to be good at the point of attack and to be good in rush defense with a smaller defensive line. A lot of that has to do with the linebackers and the secondary helping them out there. I did think there were times when Nebraska did a really good job of sort of resetting the line of scrimmage immediately. There were times where they didn't do a very good job of that as well, right? Like Keona Davis did a good job a few times of resetting the line of scrimmage and getting back in there. I will say Cincinnati's offensive line with the new starters in there did a much better job than I expected them to. I don't know if that's a Nebraska thing. I don't know if that's a Cincinnati thing. We'll find out, right? But as we heard from Chad Brendel earlier this morning, he said they weren't going to lack for talent. It was more of a chemistry issue. They did bring in some good guys on that offensive line. So we'll have to see how that goes. But the one thing I was really, really encouraged by, the thing I was probably the most encouraged by, special teams.
I would say there's like 3 things that I can think you're going for. But yeah, okay.
If this is one of those games, right? I talked about this all offseason. This is one of those games that if Nebraska's special teams did not improve from where they were last year to where they were today, I don't know what's going to look like the rest of the season, but this is probably the best special teams Nebraska has looked in a few years at the very least, right? You had the one error with the kick out of bounds early, the kickoff out of bounds early.
Which
that was about should never happen.
No.
Should never happen, right?
Well, not that. That was not a kick out of bounds. Like it was going to roll out of bounds, but the guy grabbed it inbounds and then stepped out. Like it should have been out at the 2, but that's whatever.
Was executed poorly. Like yes. I'll give like that should never happen. But outside of that, you had a 52-yard field goal, perfect in the field goal, perfect in extra points. The Archie Wilson had some huge punts. Right?
Beautiful punts.
Pinning them back a couple times. One led directly to the touchdown at the end of the first half. The other pinned them back, so they had to go a very long way in 2 minutes, which helped them out dramatically. Was getting the punts off on time. The snaps were on time. Like that's a game if the special teams aren't on point, Nebraska loses. That's one of those games from last year where I said, hey, if the special teams aren't atrocious, that's 2 more wins. That's one of them we just witnessed right there, where The defense gave up probably a little more than they should have in the run game. They weren't bad until late. Late, they got worn down. And I don't know if that's a size.
They were bad early when they were trying to figure it out. Then they figured it out, and they were really good for a while.
In the middle
and then,
2 quarters.
And they were really good. And then things started. And then Sorsby started running himself, and Nebraska was playing
back up.
Nebraska was playing more man coverage, and so their DBs had their backs turned to the quarterback. So when he took off, there's nobody in the second level. Maybe you should have had a spy. I don't know. I'm not a defense coordinator. I'm not going to say that, but it was tough for anybody to get eyes on him because your defensive line is all trying to rush him. They're leaving that A gap open, which is something that you and DB talked about with MRI on Wednesday about the quarterback stepping up and taking those rushing lanes. That's exactly what was happening to Nebraska. They're playing man coverage. It was tough for them to get back to him. But then on that final drive, they were leaving spies, and he wasn't running. He had to pass. He threw an interception. I mean, one thing led to another. This is the thing, is everybody's not everybody. A lot of people are extremely upset about how the defense performed, how the offense performed and all this. They made the adjustments needed to win this game. They were getting gashed by the quarterback. That final drive, what'd they do? They left a spy. They gave up, the pass interference or the holding call, whatever, and that then led to the interception, but they held Sorsby in the pocket by having a spy. That's an adjustment that has not been made or seen in the last few years. That's something where Sorsby would have kept running. He would have scored, but the defense made the adjustment. The offense made the adjustments to take what they were given, and they won the game. They won they won a 1-score game. Like Nebraska won a game in which 1 score could have beaten them. They won it.
And we saw this, how many times even in the last 2 years we saw this, where the defense was good, the defense was good. When they needed that one more stop to win a game, the levee broke, right? That didn't happen today. They got the extra stop. Like, they got the one more stop to win the game. That is, listen, I thought this was going to be a 2-score or more win. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I did. I think Nebraska should be a 2-score or more win better than this team. If we, if it's in butts or candy and nuts, right? Like, if Elijah Pritchett doesn't go false start on the 3-inch line, we might be having a whole different conversation right now, right? I genuinely believe it can change kind of that quickly with that play. But here's the thing. Nebraska, historically, in the last decade, not just the last 2 years, in the last decade, has not won this football game against much worse competition than we've seen today.
Yes.
Do we not remember the 1-win Northwestern team? The 1-win Northwestern team.
Well, who's that one win?
Was Nebraska, right?
Yep.
So, like, I get it. People are going, oh, man, once we get into Big Ten play, they're also going to get better, guys. They're going to get better. Starting the season with a power conference opponent is challenging, right? Go ask Scott Frost that had to get a last-second touchdown to beat Jack State. Okay, that was happening at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Like, starting the season with a power conference opponent is challenging. I understand that. I think Nebraska is better than Cincinnati. They probably should have had a better result than they did against Cincinnati. I'm not taking that away. What I am saying is the way the game played out, Nebraska has lost this game more than they've won it in the last decade, probably by like a 2 or 3 to 1 margin, right?
The broadcast said it 3-10 under rule in 1-score games. Now they're 4-10. They won one.
Like, and so this is an example of, are there a lot of things they could have done better? Are there a lot of things that I think they did better than we're giving them credit for? Like, Sorsby couldn't pass for crap against this defense.
No.
Right? Like, 2.8 yards per attempt, 13 for 25. They tried. They threw the ball 25 times. They dropped back to throw more than that, and he had to scramble, right? I would guess they probably had low 30s. Without watching it again, I can't tell you. But they probably had low 30s of pass plays called, right? Like, of pass plays called that he ended up having to scramble out of, right? 25 not the real number of pass plays they called.
No.
It's not. No. It's at least 30. I would guess probably 32 or 33 if I just guessing from watching.
Yeah. I'd put it around 32, 33, yeah.
Like, so that's when I'm looking at that, I go, okay. So he dropped back to pass 32 or 33 times. Now, listen, he gashed him on some runs on that for sure. But 2.8 yards per attempt, Zero touchdowns, I believe, correct?
Mm-hmm.
No passing touchdowns
Nope,
because he
just
ran
the
for the
rushing,
one.
just the one rushing touchdown.
Had the interception that cost them the game, right? So the the pass defense was actually very good.
Yes, and it's not that Sorsby can't. It's not that Sorsby can't throw. Like before anybody goes out and says like, "Oh, he can't throw." Like
no, this isn't Alex Orji. This isn't
like
Michigan last year.
Like he can throw the ball, and he has some pretty talented receivers. Nebraska just stopped them, and you can say they were running the ball so well they didn't have to throw, but they tried.
They did try.
They tried passing. It didn't work.
30 plus times. I mean, just for comparison, last year, like Sorsby had better passing stats than Dillon did last year. I mean, about the same number of yards, 2,800. I think Dillon was right around 2,800. Sorsby was 18 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Like he was a good passer last year. His average yards per attempt last year was over 7. He was at 2.8. Like that's a good passing defensive effort. They dominated in terms of time of possession. They dominated in terms of total yards, in terms of third down conversions, both offensively and defensively, right? So if I'm looking into the stats, do I like what the final score ended up being? No.
Absolutely
right?
not.
Don't love it. This is probably should have been like a 27-13 game. That's how it played out. That's kind of how the feel was to me. That's probably how it needed to play out. But it didn't play out that way. It's not always going to play out that way. And when it doesn't play out that way, can you still find a way to win? The answer resoundingly over the course of the last several years for Nebraska has been hell no. They cannot find a way to win. And today the answer was yes, right? We can get into other things as the week progresses and tomorrow morning and all those things. But at the end of the day, Nebraska's 1-0. They very easily could have been 0-1. And that, in more than just the win column, is a W.
We've talked about all the negatives. Can we focus on the positives? Like we've talked about Nebraska not being able to stop the run, but can we talk about Nebraska's run game? We've talked about Nebraska getting gashed and all of that stuff. The defense being. But can we talk about Nebraska's offense and some of the good things that the defense did? Because on offense, you and DB have talked about how much you like this guy, Luke freaking Lindenmeyer.
Lindenmeyer, man. 5 catches.
That was a dude today.
5 and late. All these catches, 5 catches, 47 yards, 9.4 yards per reception. He was huge late. That dude was huge late. That was a big game from Luke Lindenmeyer. I'm glad they went to him in crunch time. Great game from Lindenmeyer. Emmett Johnson, 25 carries, 108 yards, workmanlike performance. 4.3 yards per carry. Ideally, you want to see that get a little bit higher, but my guy just worked. He got 108 yards. His long was 16, so he worked for all those 108. He didn't get random. He didn't get some random 70-yarder in there, and kind of throw that total yard stats up. He worked for all those. That was an honest day's work. 108 yards from Emmett Johnson. And here's the thing: I thought Dillon played really well. I really did. Like, did I want them to be a little bit more aggressive down the field? Yes, I understand with the defense that Cincinnati was playing, that was going to be really challenging. I thought he did. What did we hear Dana Holgorsen say time after time after time after time? Make the routine play routine. Make the routine play routine. How many times did he just say, hey, I've got 6 yards, I'm going to take it. I've got 4 yards here, I'm going to take it. I've got 5 yards here, I'm going to take it. And listen, I know we want more than 5.8 yards per attempt. I get that, right? You're going to get more than 5.8 yards per attempt against other teams because other teams aren't going to have Dante Corleone where they can play 2 high safeties and
rush 3
and still stop the run at a high clip, right? Like that's not going to happen against every team. So I think for what Nebraska needed him to be today, I thought Dylan Raiola did a really good job. That's a positive. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 243 yards. I think he was north of 75%, if my math is right. Completion percentage? What's 33 divided by 42? 78?
I'm bad at numbers. Don't ask me this.
Somebody in that. I thought you had your calculator out. I saw you looking down.
78 and a half.
Oh, damn. You see that? Quick math in my head
Look
right
at you.
there.
Look at you. Look at you with your numbers.
It's that Miller North education.
Okay. Okay, buddy. I was really impressed. The thing I was two things I was most impressed with from Dylan Raiola today was, one, his patience in the pocket. Because last year he's looking around, goes through his reads, and then was throwing it to whoever he was like, all right, this guy's kind of open. I'm just going to check. He was taking his time. Yes, they were only rushing 3 and he had a bunch of time back there, but he's taking his time. And his ability to step up in the pocket and make the throws, not like kind of on the run, but make the throws as he's getting close to the line of scrimmage. He did that a couple of times to some wide open receivers. It was beautiful. He was picking apart the zone, just like we said, just like he has been doing before. Not great against man, great against zone. He was doing it. And 2, his legs. He was running when he saw green grass. Last year he saw green grass and he would stop and he would try to throw the ball. But this year, so far, through one game, he sees green grass, he takes it. He needs to work on sliding, but it was an improvement over last year already.
Yeah, I thought he did a pretty good job. There was a couple where he needed to feel kind of the backside pressure a little bit better as he was kind of rolling out and scrambling out. But and that's the one that he fumbled on and recovered, which, good on him for recovering, but needs to feel that a little bit better, needs a little bit more self-aware. But he rushed for a big first down. He had a few where he would scramble out and then find a guy in the flat still and create a play that way as well.
Keeping his eyes downfield.
Yeah, I thought he did a good job there. Listen, not a perfect game by Dylan or anybody else, but I was encouraged by some of those things. Listen, if they get to, Akron and Houston Christian and they're still not taking shots down the field, then I'll have some concerns, right?
Yeah,
I think there is a legitimate explanation on why that didn't happen today, and we've gone over that. Dante Corleone allowed them to play 2 high safeties pretty much the whole game. I think they were in quarters some, which kind of mimics 2 high safeties in the middle, and then you got kind of the brackets on the outside there. That allowed them to do some things on the back end defensively that made it really challenging to take shots down the field. Now, if we're having the same conversation in a week or two, then I'll have more concerns, right? But until then, I think they did a good job of taking what was there and allowing that to be their offense. Was it frustrating at times? Absolutely. Like I think I tweeted it out like, hey, probably gonna have to take a shot at some point because everything felt really, really, really condensed, right? There's a part of me that wants to say, hey, maybe we give Isaiah Hunter a couple more opportunities to go in a 50-50 ball, right?
Go.
Like let that guy eat. Obviously, like I think I'm a huge Hunter fan already.
Yeah,
right?
that first quarter 50-50 ball where he jumped up and kind of fell down after he caught it. If he's able to keep his feet under him, that's a tutty.
Yeah, kind of that back shoulder throw, and then the actual touchdown that he got, which was like that was so he
mossed to McBoom.
So he mossed him, and then McBoom got his arm in there, and he had to re-catch it again. That was a really, really nice play.
And got the toe tap.
By an Isaiah Hunter. So, like, would I, in a perfect world, like to see them take a couple more shots and give him a couple more opportunities on those 50-50 balls? Absolutely. Would I like to see them find a receiver that they feel like they can work into the intermediate range a little bit? Maybe work in front of those 2 high safeties with some of the play action like we saw on the Dane Key touchdown.
I think Dane Key's that guy.
I agree. That's kind of that intermediate throw on the touchdown to Dane Key. That's sort of that intermediate throw I'm talking about. I'd like to see that a little bit more, right?
Well, his first 4 catches, 3 of them were for first downs where he's just finding the hole in the zone, getting the ball, catching it, and turning to go upfield, but kind of just sitting there, catching it, going down. There you go. There's your first down. His first 4 catches, 3 of those were for first downs. That's what he was doing. I think he'll be that intermediate guy. Isaiah Hunter, Ja'Cory Barney, probably your deep threats, and whoever else you decide to throw out there. But
I think Lindenmeyer might be in one of the intermediate threats too.
Yes.
Like that is probably a guy you probably need to work into some of the intermediate stuff also.
Lindenmeyer breaking tackles by just running, not lowering his shoulder or stiff arming, just running and breaking tackles. Love that.
I thought on that first one, on the one that Pritchett ended up going false start on there, getting the field goal on, I thought he was going to Tim Riggins his way into the end zone on that one, where he's just dragging dudes, right? I thought he was going to
So if
I
he
thought he
doesn't,
was going
if
to
Matt
Friday
Rule,
night lights his way into the end zone.
he was dragging the dude. If you see, you show that replay, or if you see it when they go back in the huddle, Lindemeyer has a big old smile on his face and he's saying something to Dane Key. He's just like, I was going to drag him in the end, something like that. I don't know, but if Matt Rule isn't so rigid about the X factor, Lindemeyer reaches over and that's a touchdown. But as he's holding on to it, the guy's on his back. If he just touchdown. But it's look, you're not fumbling. You're not fumbling. It's I'm okay with it. I mean, you didn't score the touchdown, but I mean, I'm okay with it.
So there's a couple things people have been talking a lot, and it came up here because of that sequence about Pritchett. And yes, that's a terrible false start. There's no excuse for it. There's a reason he didn't start, guys, and it's the same reason that Rule told you he didn't start.
Yep.
But that's your best tackle. Like that is when he was in the game, that was, I believe, his only mistake. He was their best. What was the other one?
He gave up the sack.
Oh, that's right. Largely, he was very good.
Yes, he was opening holes.
Like largely, Pritchett was very good, and so I understand you absolutely cannot have a false start on the 1 inch line. I get it, right? I'm not going to sit here after game one and be like, oh, see if we can get a refund on the NIL money. Like that, I'm willing to take my chances that Donovan Raiola, who has turned a bunch of guys that we never cared about at all into legitimate Big Ten starters, I'm going to take my chances that he can figure it out with Elijah Pritchett, who is probably the most talented offensive lineman on this team right now. Yeah. I understand it's frustrating. I understand that that's a place you 100% cannot take a false start. I also understand he was largely their best offensive lineman for large chunks of the game, right? So, listen, listen. Matt Rule pulled him immediately after the false start. Got pulled immediately.
Yep,
got pulled immediately, right? And then he got a chance to work his way back in. But like, there's accountability for it. That's all you can ask for out of Coach Rule, out of Coach Raiola, out of the offense. He is going to have to be an important part of this offensive line. He's really, really talented, and we saw him be very, very good for stretches. They've got to get that figured out. They just do.
I think for the most part, the offensive line was solid, was extremely solid. Again, we keep going back to this guy, but Dante Corleone is an NFL guy. He's going to be playing on Sundays in next year. I think he's however old he is, but he's a guy that's going to be playing on Sundays in the interior of somebody's defense. I think Nebraska's offensive line was solid against Cincinnati's defensive line, and they kept Dylan Raiola upright for the most part. Obviously, there were a couple of instances where he was getting rushed, or he took I think he got sacked twice in this game. So, but overall, opening holes for Emmett Johnson to run through, giving Dylan Raiola time to find the open receivers, to find the Dane Keys, to find the Nizea Hunters, to find the Luke Lindmeyers. I think they did a really good job of keeping him clean and opening up holes, and I'm impressed by them. And once they find that left tackle that they're going to go with for the entire game, it's going to be Elijah Pritchett, guys. Just once he figures out how to not false start,
it needs to be.
It's going to be him. Once he figures that out and they can get that offensive line together and practicing and playing multiple games together, all together, that's going to be a really good unit.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the offensive line is going to be really good. I think I would have liked to see the interior play a little bit better against Corleone. I understand he's really good. I would have liked to see them be a little bit more effective in at least staying neutral on the line of scrimmage with him. I felt like he won and reset the line of scrimmage too much. That's a really good football player, but I need Nebraska to be a little bit better there on the interior. And I think they will be over the course of the season. But that was a place where I'm willing to sit here and go, yeah, I'd like to see that be a little bit better. I'd really like to see, I'd like to see the defensive line get more pressure, obviously. Like that's a place where got to get more consistent pressure on the quarterback. I do think there was a part of them that was early trying to contain a little bit with Sorsby, and we saw him not run much early. And then they kind of tried to get a little bit more aggressive, and that's when he started gashing him. Like with a guy like Sorsby, it's kind of a balance on how aggressive do you want to be versus keeping your containment in your gaps and getting pressure versus not allowing the quarterback to find rushing lanes. Like I get it's difficult. Overall I need to see a little bit more pressure on the quarterback. Like that's just, you got to find a way, whether it's with blitzers, whether it's with bringing an extra guy. I would have liked to see them just say, "Hey, Sorsby, why don't you try and beat us with your arm? Like let's try and beat us with your arm. Let's just see what happens, right?" Because I don't know if he was going to do that. We saw that on the last drive where he takes the shot and Malcolm Hartzog gets the interception. They were kind of struggling a little bit there. So that was, I would have liked to see them just say, "Hey, if you can beat us with your arm, like we'll take that." But because they did have a lead for most of the game, I think they were playing it a little bit more conservative. And again, that's something with John Butler as he gets a little more comfortable calling plays again and running the defense again. I think he'll find a better balance there. I will say the adjustments from first quarter to second quarter were incredible defensively. That looked like an entirely different defense. Somebody mentioned on Twitter that the DB made this point that the team that you see on the field defensively from the first series to the third series could look dramatically different, and it did. I don't know how much that was Butler's adjustments. I don't know how much of that was the players getting more comfortable, but that was a different team in the first quarter defensively than it was in the second and third. And then we saw in the fourth quarter, Cincinnati made the adjustments and they had to kind of counterpunch again. I thought that was overall, I thought it was a good defensive performance. I really did. I mean, if you say all year you'll give up less than 300 total yards and 17 points per game, you're taking that. All
you're
year,
taking that. You're taking that every night, every football game. If you give me those stats, you're taking it 100% from Nebraska's defense. It was the offense that struggled to put points together and put drives together on a consistent basis. But to stay on the defensive side of things, I really enjoyed the defensive backs play, and I think that the Jax McCullough, especially, it's one of those where I see it a lot in the comment section right now. Like, I didn't hear this person's name a lot. I didn't hear this person's name a lot. I think that, Deshaun McCullough played really well. Javen Wright played really well. Those guys in the linebacking core, although maybe you didn't hear a lot of their names, I think the linebacking core played a lot better than I thought they were going to. The defensive line did what they did, opening up the A gap for Sorsby to run through. Like you said, it's a delicate balancing act of getting pressure and keeping the quarterback in the pocket, not being able to run while also trying to get to him and sack him. The defensive backs, just look how many passing yards Sorsby had. That's how good the defensive backs played. The linebackers, in my opinion, did really good jobs. Once they made the adjustments of filling the holes and stopping the running back in his tracks, and also covering the tight ends and the wide receivers going across the middle, or if they were manned up on them, I was really impressed with the linebacking core in this one. And if you can get that type of performance from the back half of your defense, from the linebackers and from the defensive backs, I think you're going to win. You're going to win a decent amount of games.
Yeah, I think that's true. I thought defensive backs, I thought the pass defense was really good. I thought there were some run fits that I didn't love that I think they're going to need to work on. Part of that's probably on the defensive line for not reestablishing the line of scrimmage a little bit better, more consistently. Part of that's going to be on the defensive backs for not filling and run fitting the way they need to. So that's going to be something that we have to watch progress over the course of the season. Luckily, they have a couple weeks with subpar opponents before they face Michigan, and that'll be the next real test, right? I'll be really interested to see what this team looks like in 2 weeks from now, right? Because I think we're going to be talking about a very different Nebraska team from week 1 against Cincinnati versus week 4 against Michigan. I think we're going to be talking very differently about this team. I think they're going to continue to get better throughout the course of the season. But it'll be really interesting to see how much that happens before they get to Michigan in week 4. I'm trying to catch up on some of the comments here.
The comments were just flying through right now.
I know.
It's hard to stick with them.
While
you're looking at that, I'm going to say, with the improvements offensively, I think you're going to see kind of the same type of offense you saw tonight the next 2 weeks. Somebody mentioned in the comments that Dana Horgan was kind of vanilla, and I think you said it too. He's kind of vanilla with his play calling. There wasn't much to it. I think you're going to see that the next 2 weeks, which, although opening up with a power 4 opponent and being vanilla with your play calling, that's probably what leads to the 1-score game and only scoring 20 points. Probably don't do that again. But against an Akron, against a Houston Christian, maybe you can get away with being more vanilla in that play calling. But also against those teams, they're probably not going to play 4 safeties in the back half that are going to keep you from going deep with your passing game. So we'll see.
Well, because they don't have the guy in the middle that allows them to.
Exactly.
Right?
So we'll see how the offense looks. I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised over the next 2 weeks at how different the offense looks from game 1 to game 2 and 3, because Dylan Raiola was putting the passes on his receivers. Somebody was saying that he was floating passes. No, he was putting those things on the chests of those receivers. When he had to float the passes, he was. There was that really long pass across the field to Isaiah Hunter when he caught it and kind of stepped out of bounds. That one was tough, and that one scared me. I hate those long passes, but it got there, right? There was the one across the middle where he darted it kind of behind, I think it was Hunter. I don't remember which receiver it was, but he threw it behind him, so he had to reach back and catch it, and he kind of fell down. And that one's a little bit where if you lead him, maybe he's still running, maybe he hits his head on the goalpost, but that's one where he darted it in there to avoid the defenders. And I thought it was a good pass.
If it's the one I'm thinking of, I think that was Cortez Mills, actually.
Was it?
I think he got one to Cortez Mills.
It was the one where he like kind of ran like a post. It wasn't a slant because it was a little deeper, but it was a post, and he had to reach back, and he caught it and like fell.
Yeah, they said it was Mills on the broadcast. I don't know if that was accurate. Because, yeah, I think it was. Mills had one catch for 13 yards. I think that was Mills.
I think that was it then. Yeah.
That you're talking about. But, no, I think there was a couple passes where specifically there was one on 3rd down to Hunter on the sideline where Corleone got up the middle and it ended up floating out on Raiola a little bit. There was the one you're talking about that ended up being complete to Hunter on the sideline. That was a little bit floated out there. But for the most part, I thought that he did a good job. I didn't really have an issue with the way he threw the ball. I, again, would have liked to see a little bit more creative or aggressive play calling, but I think Cincinnati and what they were showing had a lot to do with that. And that there's, at a certain point, if they're going to consistently give you 6 yards per play, you kind of have to take it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's sort of the entire crux of what Dana Holgerton's passing schemes allow for, right? Like, yes, there's going to be more aggressive options, but if that's what they're taking away, the underneath stuff is going to be there, and you have to take it, and you have to execute it at a consistent level on a consistent basis. And to be fair, Nebraska did. Like, they executed those throws at a pretty high level at a pretty consistent basis. I mean, 78% completion, you're not going to do much better than that.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to do much better than that. I get you would love to see a few chunk plays to get that yards per attempt up, to get that total yards from like 240 to 300. I get that. You want a few of those chunk plays in there as well, and not just the one kind of back shoulder throw to Hunter. You'd like to see a few more of those. But I think it's encouraging that Nebraska's capable of that, because how many times over the last couple of years have we just sat here and be like, hey, I don't know what we run on 3rd and 5, right? Like, I don't think we can complete a 6-yard pass on 3rd and 5. Here's the thing. Now you can, right? 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7, you say, oh, I can complete an 8-yard pass. I can complete a 6-yard pass. There's going to be certain matchups and certain defenses where you get the chunk plays. That's fine. I think Nebraska has the people to make that happen. But if you can consistently execute the rest of the offense, the chunk plays will come. I really do believe that.
You know what's even better about that 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7 plays is that not only are you completing those passes now, you have multiple options to go to on the field all at one time. Because if you want to go through the numbers, and people who talk about numbers, if you want to go through the numbers, Dylan Raiola was spreading the ball around amazingly. Nijah Hunter, 6 receptions. Dane Key, 6 receptions. Luke Lindermeyer, 5. Ja'Cory Barney, 5. Emmett Johnson, 7. Like, he was spreading the ball out amongst his skill position guys. And then you had Mills with 1. Quinn Clark got in the game, had 1. Janiran Bonner had 1, which I hope Janiran Bonner's okay. Didn't look great foot was planted,
Yeah,
shoulder went into the knee. Not
icing his
excited
knee.
about that.
Yeah.
And then Isaiah Mosey kind of on that pop pass took one for 2 yards.
That's 10 different receivers.
You have so many different options to go to on whatever down and distance you have. So for Dylan to be able to mix and match with whoever he's going to throw it to, I love that for Nebraska's offense. And again, you're going to get different matchups. You're going to get different things that'll allow you to go deep, go short, maybe run a screen pass, whatever you're going to do, maybe run another pop pass. And Ja'Cory Barney was literally one hand away from scoring a touchdown.
Yeah.
If he was 5 pounds heavier, he probably scores.
Weight room,
I don't know.
weight room.
Yeah, just 5 pounds. If they would have poured Gatorade on him, so he's soaking wet, he would have scored.
Yeah, he certainly maybe needed to get that extra scoop at the pregame meal of whatever they were serving up.
You're in Kansas City, eat some more barbecue. What are you doing?
Yeah, that's one more slab of ribs. That's a touchdown.
Exactly.
Or he would have thrown up and never been in the game in the first place.
Hey,
you never know. You never know. No, it was. Listen, there's a lot to take away here. I think. Listen, I'm not going to walk away and say, "Hey, I'm overly encouraged." I'm not overly discouraged either. Like I'm not. I don't know. Maybe I'm nuts. I might be crazy. That's totally on the table. That is a very that's a very possible outcome here. But I don't walk away from this feeling like overly encouraged, overly discouraged. I think this was an exercise the demons game, right? This is a game that Nebraska statistically kind of dominated, and they let Cincinnati hang around, which is not great.
Mm-hmm.
That's not great. I'm acknowledging that. But this is the game that Nebraska has lost almost every time over the last decade. And they didn't lose today. They found a way to win the game. Even when we had the groin kick penalty, the gut punch penalty, the oh, dear God, no penalty, the Michael Scott, why is Toby back penalty, Nebraska still found a way to win the game.
It's that drive. That's the rip your heart out drive that Cincy was on. That your heart stayed in your chest in this game.
I wasn't even exaggerating. I felt like I was about to throw up. I was sick to my stomach. I'm just sitting here nauseous because I am just sitting here going, oh my God, not again. Right. And my text messages are filling up and I'm getting all this negative energy from every friend I have that's a Husker fan that's like, oh my God, why? And I get it because I'm sitting here and I'm like, do not throw up. You're going to have to talk to the internet in 10 minutes. And
I literally, you texted me. You said, Rico, are you ready to go? And I said, I made sure that I worded this correctly. I said, if they get this stop, I'll run downstairs and be ready. And I'm standing at the top of my stairs watching the TV.
Immediately they get a first down.
And I see the pass go out and I don't see the flag right away. And I was like, maybe they missed it. And then you hear the announcers, there's a flag on the play. I'm like, I got to stay up here a little bit longer. I can't go downstairs yet. And I was like, please let me go downstairs on a happy note. And just immediately floats it, little rainbow pass to the end zone. And there was a part of me that was like, he's going to catch this and I'm going to lose my mind.
Yep.
But Hartzog steps up and does what Hartzog does best and gets an interception. The man is my height and he's out there playing D1 football and I am impressed by it. Look, he's amazing. I remember when they first got him out of Mississippi, they said, he's a return guy. He's not going to be playing corner. And of course, that season, they're like, he's starting at corner. I don't know what's going on. He's getting picks left and right. I love it. Love Malcolm Hartzog. There are instances where he's, guarding a 6'4" receiver, and it's like that shouldn't be happening.
Not ideal.
But hey, it worked out in the end. He got the interception. It's what he does best. The man is a turnover machine.
Landon says, I was legit pacing. Quentin says, really ready for the here we go again thought to never occur again. Let's hope so. Let's exercise the demons. Adam says, we scored more points than the other team. 100%. It's time to get back to our boots on the ground. Our guy, Austin Jacobson, appears to have safely landed back at wherever he's staying.
He made it home.
let's bring Austin in here.
Hey.
Somebody just turned the lights off. Was that?
Yeah, you can blame Mr. Glock, M Glock, for handling that. We do have Pat here. Pat's hanging out.
Are you sleeping in a garage?
Yes, sir. Yes, this is garage beer time. So yes,
All right.
obviously that's Marshall. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you probably hit all the main points, but being at the game too, I don't like. I'll speak for the group here. I felt throughout the entirety of that game that Nebraska did not represent the final score of that game in any capacity. I truthfully felt like we have actually seen Nebraska turn like a significant corner. And there were many moments in that game I had to keep looking up at the scoreboard and remind myself that it was 13-3 or 13-10. It felt like Nebraska was like very much in control of that game throughout. But the biggest thing that I can't get over is the play at the end, perfect by Malcolm Hartzog. It was either 10 men on the field and they called a timeout, whatever the case was. Bailing them out with a timeout there at the 4th down and 7 nearly broke me in half sitting inside of Arrowhead Stadium.
That is something we haven't hit on yet, actually.
I quite literally, the stadium was pulsating. You could feel the entire crowd. Cincinnati was on the fritz. They couldn't figure it out. Sorsby was trying to change a play call, everything. Hey, do you mind turning that down? I'm doing something right now. Anyway. But, like, seriously, everything was going on. And then to have a timeout called right there, it felt like it did. There were so many times in the past 2 years and a game.
Like 10 years.
Yeah.
That there has been, well, I'm already going under a rule here thing. It's one of those things that it's like, geez, every time that we get an opportunity, man, there's just sounds everywhere in this garage. Anyway, but every time that Rule has an opportunity to try to fix something and call the timeout, get his defense set right, it gives another opportunity to the opposing team to get set. It happened in the first quarter too. I can't remember the exact play, but it happened in that first quarter when it was like a 3rd down or something and he has to use a timeout. I think it was when Nebraska was on offense going in, that you had the defense on their heels, you were making some pace, but you call a timeout, you ruin the momentum, and then everything kind of fizzles out from there. I had 3 great notes. Donovan Jones is the best defensive back tackler on this team. I can't tell you how many times I was bumping people next to us, just yelling, Omaha North, best defense tonight, Omaha North. I just look at the final score of that game, but that is different. It was phenomenal. Donovan Jones, great. Archie Wilson is everything that was promised. And then in nut cutting time, they finally cut the nuts. I mean, what more could you want? I don't know how you can watch this game and be so upset and hot takey and want to be able to just immediately dive in and just say, oh, well, they're not the team I thought they were. Oh, they're not going to improve. This is the perfect game to learn from every mistake that they had and the things that they weren't prepared for. You got thrown so much from Cincinnati in 3 high safeties that you're not going to take deep shots on in every opportunity possible, that they can't throw the ball more than 7 yards. They nickeled and dimed them in a 4-minute drive that nearly ended the game at the end. There's so much they will learn from this that will improve. And the only thing that is like, it's the big bad boogeyman that's sitting at September 20th in Michigan. But if you don't think that they are going to get better over the next 3 weeks because of what they had in this first game, honestly, if they were underprepared for this game because they might have over-evaluated like where Cincinnati was, perfectly fine. Because by the time they hit September 20th, I am convinced they will have righted all of the wrongs from this game, and they will know and learn more because of how well prepared Cincinnati was. Truthfully, that's how I felt leaving the stadium. I'm only on positives right now. You win the game, you cut the nuts at the end, and you find a way to do it, and you're going to learn from it moving forward.
So let me ask you, what was the feeling in the stadium during the last Cincinnati drive? Like, what was the vibe? Because in my own house by myself, it was horrifying. Just like me with my own thoughts was horrifying. So
it was a repeat of the last. It was a repeat of the last 3-4 years. You said, "Oh, here we go, we're cooked."
Yeah, I do think
Rule calls that timeout. They throw the corner route out for an 8-yard gain on the 4th and 7. You're like, "Yep, I've seen this written."
Yeah,
way too many times. And then they throw that deep fade. Hartzog intercepts it, and you're like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was. I know. It's like what we just said. It's all it had every single ingredient of what we've seen in the past, because it was quite literally you have them pinned inside the 9. You get actually a great special teams play. First play, they get 9 yards on a run. That's been killing you all game. Okay, maybe we'll figure this out. And then a couple plays later, you get him in 3rd and 7, incomplete pass, Donovan Jones, great play. And then the next play, you call the timeout, they, convert. You're like, oh, what's going on? Next play after that, you get a holding call, and you're like, okay, this is how it ends. We've seen this. We know how this goes. And then to watch that ball, because we were set up on the side with Taylor Swift on that side where the sideline was going out. As soon as that pass started to go and I saw Hartzog out there, it was one of those that's like, I've seen this before. I know how this ends. I've seen it with Michigan State. I've seen it with Iowa. I've seen it in so many different places. But he made the play. And they figured it out. They did it. They got it. And the guy who made the mistake made the play. I mean, what more could you want?
That's the thing, right? That's the thing that I'm like, if I'm encouraged by anything more than special teams, which I was very encouraged by, it was the fact that we sat here and we got to watch somebody who made the mistake. And how many times has Matt Rule said, like, we've got to have guys just go make a play, right? We've got to have guys just go make a play. And they did. When it mattered, when they had to go make a play, and they made the play to win the game.
Yep.
Like, that's all you can say. They made the plays to win the game.
On that final play, they showed Rule on the TV, and you literally read his lips. I don't know who he was talking to, but he's pointing at somebody, and he says, "You go get him. You go get him." Like, he said that like 3 times. I don't know if he was talking about going to get Sorsby or telling the defense back to go on somebody else. Either way, it ended up in an interception. So whoever it was probably went and got him. I don't know who he was getting, but he got him.
I wanted to ask, because you guys obviously watch TV, was Williams Winnari as physically dominant on TV as he was in person? Because those first 3 quarters, he was a completely different, he was a different player than everyone else that was on the field at times. But by that 4th quarter, I don't know if it was out of gas or different situations, or if they knew where to put Sorsby in situations to run by him. But there were some plays in those first, second, and third quarters that we had great angles of him. And I mean, he's towering over people. I mean, he is very intimidating. When he was making some plays, I mean, it was very noticeable.
I did notice him getting double teamed towards the end. In the beginning of the game, I did see him and I think it might have been Keona were getting through the offensive line, not with ease, but with decent regularity. And then towards the end, I noticed that Williams was getting double teamed, and he was still fighting his way and almost getting through the blocks. So, yeah, he looked pretty impressive.
Yeah, okay. I would agree. I thought I don't know if it was an every play type thing, but he jumped out a lot. Like, he physically jumped out quite a bit. And I do think probably wore down a little bit. There's probably some adrenaline, this is his first time playing big time college football. I'm like playing a whole game, right? He didn't play very much at Missouri last year. Like, I'm guessing there was some of that there. Dirt Biker brings up a good point. When Keona Davis got banged up a little bit, that did change things quite a bit, when that seemed to be, and that's something good point there. That feels weird calling an adult dirt biker, but that is a good point that we hadn't brought up yet. Like, you could probably draw a pretty straight line from when Sorsby and Cincinnati started to eat a little bit, and when Keona Davis went out of the game. Like, Keona Davis, I thought played really well, and not just because I'm a Keona Davis homer. Like, I thought he played really well. What's up, Ava? How are you?
She's happy.
What other post-game show has a dog? I mean,
yeah, very true. Okay, so boots on the ground from Pat, and then we'll let you
I
continue.
do think from a defensive standpoint, there left a lot to be desired. I get it's game 1, but I felt like the talk from John Butler coming out of fall camp and the expectation, and maybe that's just coming off of like Ty and Nash from last year.
Yeah.
And the pressure that those two were able to get just themselves. I felt like I was disappointed.
So let me ask you this, though.
Maybe
Pat,
from the aggressive nature off of the D-line. And it's game 1, and it's Cincy. They're no slouch team, don't get me wrong, but I felt like conversation out of fall camp didn't match.
I totally understand that, and I get, Stank Nooner says, again, love calling these people by their screen names. He says leaky yards and some missed tackles too. Totally agree there. Here's my question, though, and I asked Rico this earlier. If I gave you at the end of the season, and I'll give Cincy a little boost here. If I said, hey, 300 total yards, 17 points per game, you're taking that every day, right?
Yeah. There's no question.
So,
You're right.
I mean, I get what you mean. I get how it looked. I really do. I understand how it looked. But sometimes I feel like sometimes we have to remove how it looked and how we felt about it and kind of go 30,000 foot view and be like, hey, if I can say you're only going to give up 17 points per game and 300 yards of total offense, I'm going to take that every day of the week, right? Because your offense has to be able to give you enough to win that game.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And I think that's that hype too coming out of camp too. Like you have this expectation. Yeah. You hear the convos and you're like, okay, this is what it's supposed to look like. And then you're like, okay.
Yep. Now I'll let you guys be. You guys are doing a wonderful job. Listen to as much as we could getting out of the Kansas City Metro. But I'm very excited for a DB film breakdown on two things. Sorsby dropping back, able to run forward and run right off of right guard. Every time they wanted to drop back to pass and he had a scramble opportunity, it was kind of the same opportunity each time. I want to know how that defensive line, what their responsibilities and stuff were. DB is going to have a heyday showcasing all of the people in the crowd and all the people that were at home that were saying, just take a shot. Just throw the ball downfield. Just take a shot. Yeah. There were 3 safeties, 15, 20 yards deep at every opportunity. You don't think Dana and Dylan wanted to uncork it in game 1 and just let it fly down the field? What are we talking about? Of course they did. But there's a reason why they couldn't do it. I'm very excited for DB to completely break down. We're just a mess out here in this. I'm very excited for DB to break down and just to show what we saw on the field. That it's gonna make great television.
We're gonna have so many videos to cut out and get for him, but I am excited for him to break it down. I really am. I know there was one play in the first quarter where Dylan, it looked like he wanted to take the shot and he brought it back and then he dumped it off to Emmett. He's like, no, here you go.
Okay. I know I said last point. I tweeted this in the middle of the first quarter and I said, Emmett Johnson is RB1. I had people after the game being like, you got to get him out of there. I can't believe I don't know what the final stats are. My eyes told me exactly what he is. He is a perfect safety valve connection, a type of running back you want out of the backfield for someone like Dylan Raiola that you want to be able to have trust in that, I got to get someone the ball. How many running backs over the past 5-6 seasons have you trusted to catch the ball out of the backfield as much as Emmett Johnson did today in safety valve routes? 2 yards made a huge difference in numerous drives in this game. Ball control, chewing clock. Emmett was able to catch the ball, had one drop, and what did he do? He trucked an MF for the very next drive. I mean, literally got the ball.
And he did.
He did. What are we talking about?
I do think he had about 10 more touches than what they wanted. So I think he finished the night with 25.
I think he got exactly.
Emmett had 25 carries for 108 yards, and he had 7 receptions for 27 yards. And what I want to kind of building on that, the past 15 years, whatever, I don't care, however long you want to go back, I have heard people complain. We don't have a workhorse back. You can't go running back by committee. You need to have one running back. You have to have one guy take the ball and get the lion's share of the carries. You have to have one guy who you let him get hot and you keep him rolling. That's exactly what they did today with Emmett. And the amount of tweets that I saw, get Emmett out of the game. He's carrying the ball too much. What happened to the running back depth? What happened to getting this guy in and getting this guy? I thought you wanted a workhorse. What happened? What happened to your workhorse? Oh, now you don't want a workhorse? Now that you have a workhorse, you want running back by committee? No, you don't. No, you don't. You want a workhorse back. And guess what? You got one. You got one, and he's great.
He is.
32 touches. Yeah. 32 touches.
The Big 12 defense. That's it. We need to have that as a sound. If you guys can get that cricket noise, that's a beautiful sound to have for the show. Okay, you like the crispy cricket? That's what you like? A crispy cricket's actually probably just a Spring Hill restaurant, for all I know.
I eat at the crispy cricket.
You guys are doing great. I don't know how much longer you're going to go on. This is fantastic stuff. Great show. Great job with the chat. You guys are phenomenal as well. I'll leave you with this piece. I can't wait for it. Jesus, what are we talking about? I'll leave you with this as the dogs are just running the show out here. Luke Lindenmeyer is indeed an NFL tight end. He's a 100% NFL tight end. All right. You guys have a great night. I will see you bright and early Friday morning.
Boots on the ground.
Appreciate that, Austin. Great stuff there from him. No, I mean, DB's right. That's a Sunday player in Luke Lindenmeyer.
He looked so good. There were a couple times where I catch myself just watching the offensive line or watching the tight ends block. Luke
Yeah.
Lindemeyer is that dude. And then you said it before, DB said it before, when he gets in the game, you don't know if it's going to be a run play or a pass play because he can do both. And his runs after the catch were just beautiful. That's something we haven't seen from a tight end in a decent while. His ability to at his size to tiptoe the sideline the way that he did. My goodness. I love it. There are smaller guys who can't do that.
100%. We've seen wide receivers not do that for years.
Yes.
I appreciate everybody so much with everybody joining us here at 12:40 in the morning on Friday. I'm going to wake up in about 4.5 hours to do the morning show. Rico is going to be on standby in about 4.5 hours.
I will be right here waiting for you if you need me.
Absolutely. We appreciate it. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate everybody in the comments as well. Incredible that people stayed up this late to come hang out with us.
So many people. Thank you guys.
Really, really appreciate it. We'll be doing this after every game. It'll either be me and Austin or me and Rico, or maybe all three of us as well. And we'll do some of these. We'll do most of these from the Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill also, so you can come hang out with us if you'd like to as well. So that is your very first Hail Varsity Postgame Show of the 2025 season. Guess what? Nebraska's 1-0. Nebraska's 1-0. That's what matters. That's Rico. I'm Ravi. Make sure you tune in to Hurrdat Sports Live in just a few short hours. And we will continue to talk Nebraska football and the entire weekend of the enormous college football slate coming up as well. Thank you all for joining us. We will be back. Well, me and Austin, or me and DB, me and Rico,
Ravi will be back for sure. We don't
tomorrow
know who's going to be with him.
I think it's going to be DB. I'm really curious to see what time the plane lands back down here in Lincoln, and then he's still got to drive to Omaha after that. So we'll see what happens. But thank you for joining us. And listen, Nebraska's 1-0. Go Big Red.